Hello and welcome to our third session of Voidheart Symphony. It is a game we are all learning together. It is wondrous. This game is loosely borrows from the Legacy engine, but it is very much its own thing. But like Legacy, it has two levels of play, and we're kind of exploring those out. We're learning the moves, even as we're learning our characters here. My name is Lowell, pronouns he, him, and this session is part of the Gauntlet Gaming Calendar, which is an online gaming community / club. You can find out more about that at gauntlet-rpg.com. There are several divisions to the Gauntlet, including this community. And then we've also got a podcast network, and then there's a separate Gauntlet Publishing. And I only mention that because there's a Kickstarter for Brindlewood Bay going on from Gauntlet Publishing, and I feel I should assist my sister divisions in mentioning that because it's a really good game. But we are going to get started here, come back into where we're at in play and get things set up. So last time, our characters returned back to the city of Ocean, again, a California city on the coast, sort of towards the mid or northern area of it, highly electronic, highly networked, but at the same time, that has pushed certain groups out to marginal areas, including some big clusters of apartments. We found out a little bit more about our characters' lives, and we tried out some of the everyday and city moves, some of which are used to clear conditions and things like that. But the first thing that we did last time is we put our characters together, established NPCs, got those on the table, and then we kind of figured out the connections to these major covenants. So last week, Gabriel wasn't with us. So we're going to start with Gabriel and have you tell us about the character that you wish to have, and I'll open up the relationship map as well.
Yeah, fabulous. So shall we just jump right into the NPC that I'd like to add? Okay, yeah. So the NPC that I was thinking of adding, and again, first time playing the game, not sure if this is a realistic choice, but my understanding is that I think it's the one that's connected to the Judgment card. I'm trying to just pull up here and see. Let's see, it's under playbooks. Yeah, under contacts, I believe it is. Is that correct? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So for contacts, I was going to gain one as a major contact covenant and name them. I was going to select the one tied to the card Judgment, which means an ancient inhuman, ambivalent to humanity. And I was thinking, if this isn't too ridiculous of an idea, I'll put the spelling in the chat, but I was thinking of having a covenant who is named Asteria, Archon of Starlight.
Okay.
And I was thinking that this could be, maybe this is just the person who always wanted to play Nobilis but never did coming out. But this is basically the platonic concept of Starlight itself given body. And the reason I think it fits so well with this particular setting is because we're very coastal, and Starlight has a lot of implications for celestial navigation, which I believe Pam, as a sailor, has some connection with. If I remember that correctly, is that I think Pam has a connection to sailing or naval work. I also think that because this is such a heavily teched out city, especially so recently, and a city that is having so much cloud cover in recent months, maybe years, due to whatever unforeseen climatic changes, there is a lot of either cloud cover or light pollution that prevents stars from being seen. And so Asteria is perhaps uninterested, maybe even a little bit resentful of the people who live in this city, because we don't really see stars very often. We have no use for her, and she no use for us. So she's very ambivalent about us and is disconnected, but still has the potential to be very helpful.
Perfect. So we have the Judgment Covenant there as a major covenant. So I've gone ahead and put Asteria there. And what is your relationship to this this contact?
I think that they might be one of the only people who knows fully of what I am and how I came to be. And perhaps they, more out of pity than anything, appeared to me during my first night of existence. Perhaps I was on the beach that evening, confused, somewhat disoriented, and she appeared to me almost like some sort of celestial who said in so many words, "Welcome to the world, and here's what you are. Have fun with that," and has since been around. But whenever I go to her for assistance, she seems to speak mostly in riddles and is not altogether very useful. Everything I say, she treats as if it's sort of an amusing joke, and almost has sort of a dismissive chuckle about her. But you get the sense that maybe there is some reason why she stays in contact with me. It's hard to pin it down.
So does she manifest in the real world, or do you go to a kind of a liminal space to see her? What are you imagining there?
I'm thinking, yeah, probably more liminal space than real
Okay.
world. I think that she certainly probably could manifest in the material realm, the world of people. But I think it's one of those things where she would most likely only make herself known if there was no chance that anyone else would ever see her. And that means that you end up kind of like walking into strange rooms you've never seen before, and there she is. And then you walk out and the door's gone, that sort of thing, where there's a little bit of a blurring effect between different realities, dimensions, that sort of thing. Yeah, she's unbelievably powerful, but just has so little interest in us because we can't have stars.
Awesome. I like that. That gives us a nice, really interesting, different contact to go with. The other thing that we'll want you to do is, have you thought about a place that matters to your character that you want to add to the relationship map? Right now we have Sasha has a shadowy bar. Charlotte has a family sports facility, and Pam has a public library, in quotation marks, that is her sort of place of refuge and connection.
I can throw, I can throw one together here.
Sure. Why don't you think about that?
Yeah.
Because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come around to the others, and we're going to look at the other NPCs, and you're going to pick one of the NPCs that is on the table already, and establish a connection to it. Patrick, can I start with you on this?
Sure. And are we linking NPCs and places too?
So what you're going to do is you're going to choose one of the existing places or contacts and you're going to draw a link from them to a new contact. So to something else. We already that's something we're going to do. So we're connecting them up, and then you're going to draw a link from any contact back to you as a major covenant. So we've got sort of, it looks like 2 steps. Am I reading that right?
I think so, yeah. So I really like Asteria.
Okay.
I want to grab her and bring her just a fraction more into the real world.
Okay.
So I want to link her to the Aurora Crown, a shadowy bar, which is perfect. And she is occasionally and unpredictably the elusive and mysterious lead singer of a band that's just started playing at the Aurora Crown. She's always dazzling and well lit and memorable, but then just sort of disappears in the shadows of the green rooms, and it's hard to catch her after a show.
I think that is perfect. And then what of the existing NPCs that you don't already have a covenant with do you want to establish a covenant with?
I think I'm going to establish a covenant with Amira.
Okay.
Um,
Yes. And so what we're going to ask is, what is that let's have you describe, like, how do you know them, and then let's figure out what covenant that is actually going to be.
yeah, so I think Amira, in some of their activist work, has taken a few extra legal means to get into places that were barred to them, or to make meaningful protests. And so I think I've helped them out before, and they give me I mean, some sort of like meaning to what I'm doing. I'm not just a criminal.
Mhm.
And even if I'm trying to get money to support the things, the shop and the things I've been left with, I'm still just like a criminal. But I think with, I have that layer of justification of like, I help these people out. I've worked with this movement before. I'm not just a bloodsucker. I have a purpose.
So do you have a thought about what that might mean in terms of? Certainly justice might be one, temperance might be one. What's the covenant you currently
Temperance
have?
feels interesting. That feels wrong. I like that.
There's also strength.
I think strength, maybe.
Okay, let's put that down as strength for the moment. And if you take a look and say, oh, maybe it's something different, you can change it later. Does that sound cool?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's come to Pam. Pam, let's have you connect 2 NPCs or
Yep.
2 places, NPC in place. What do you want to connect?
Okay. So, I think first of all, so it's correct, connecting me with an NPC and connecting one of the NPCs with the library, right?
It can be, you can connect anything to anything.
Oh, okay.
For the sort of the first one, just to kind of establish
Mhm.
additional dimension to them.
Right, right. So I don't know. I wonder if Terrence is working in the library.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So that might just be a simple,
I
or
think that's
volunteering there, but
yeah.
that kind of thing, it's a
Perfect.
Yeah.
And then let's connect you to one of the NPCs that we have on the table.
All right. So I'm thinking I could have I could have an informant style relationship with Sugarhawk.
Oh, I like that.
And so Sugarhawk seems like he's right. Right. Has a I'm linking into the con artist friend of the private eye kind of thing.
Okay.
If I'm running a con on someone, if I'm trying to go in under an alternate identity, that's the kind of thing where I can kind of work with him to do. Yeah, so it's one of those things where I mean, I'm tempted to borrow from Rockford Files and Angel, but
I think that's a good
yeah,
touchstone relationship.
So I'm thinking so I need to find the right arcana. I mean, if there's a trickster arcana, that would be sort of ideal.
Let's see.
Partner in crime.
The vagabond, the devil, the fool, maybe.
He doesn't. The devil doesn't feel quite right, but I could the fool of the vagabond are probably. Let me just look at those for a sec.
Yeah, Patrick's relation to him is the vagabond right now.
Actually, yeah, and so I wouldn't want to double up on the vagabond. I'm leaning actually towards. I'm leaning towards actually the chariot. Like I feel like he's gonna egg me on more so than necessarily help. Or so he'll tell me about what's going on the street, as it were, but the more arcana side of things is going to be, he's going to make me take more risks.
I like the idea that at least for Sasha, like he doesn't. I mean, there's different relations, maybe even kind of like friend, pal, sort of loose connection, but yours is a more like business relationship, and certainly for Sugarhawk, if you're doing more, that potentially gets them more work, and you may be somebody that they want to drag into things just as backup.
Right. Well, I also like the idea that he cares what happens to Sasha, and if I get into trouble, if I get picked up, then that's as long as he gets to squeak out of it, Sugarhawk doesn't mind that. And I kind of understand that, we don't necessarily have each other's best interests at heart.
I like it.
So,
awesome. Let's come to Charlotte.
Okay, so this first one is just choosing someone I know, but it's not the one that I have a covenant, right? Correct?
So let's start with the first thing, which is you're going to connect up like two things that are already on the table. NPC into place or something like that. And that can be one of the 4 sort of core NPCs, or you added Victoria last time as a character on the board. You can connect them up to somebody else or to a place they might hang out.
Let's see here. Ooh. Well, I do think I like the idea that in the city, like that sports thing that we have, it's like there are those in all the different parts of the city, like kind of like the Y, but it isn't. It's like it's not like it's a civic thing. It's a chain in some ways, but they're like really consistent. And I think that she belongs to the one in her area, but our cards, we can use them. Like Victoria and I could use them at different ones.
Okay.
So we go to different ones. So she has one too. Is that close enough?
That's perfect.
Okay.
And you can draw an arrow, you can draw a straight line, or if you want to do a scribble line. This map is going to get wild. I know that you can use Miro to do boards and things like that, but I am the Tyler of the game when it comes to doing that. I've tried.
Okay. So let's see here. Okay, got it.
Because of this game, I've been playing around with different mind map programs, and they're all annoying in some way.
Yeah, actually, the one that I really liked kind of like sold itself out and went like it's attached to some super expensive software now. But so of course, all of my awesome mind maps went away. But let's see here. Yeah, so Victoria, gotta put her in. Well, I won't worry with that because I'm always slow on those things.
Okay.
So, and then the people that someone's done as the covenants that they have with.
You're going to establish a connection to one of them. That
okay.
Is maybe it's the same kind of covenant relationship as somebody else, or maybe it's different.
Okay. So I'm kind of torn there. There's a lot of really good choices. I let me look here. So Asteria is judgment to things. Okay, and so then that leaves and then so it's either to so no one has a covenant relationship with oh, I get her name right. Sorry. Slipping through here. To Amira, is that correct?
Right now, Sasha has a strength connection to Amira.
Oh.
And Pam, what is your covenant relationship to Amira? Sorry, you muted.
It's on his.
Sorry, let me
sheet.
double check. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, I didn't realize I have like Gabriel has a judgment relationship with Asteria and then
Justice.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So okay, it's Gabriel. So it's your Sasha. Oh, good. Okay, so that leaves.
It would make sense for you to have a connection to Asteria, if only because of Gabriel's relationship to you.
Yeah, and I was thinking of it, and that was the thing. Is I just want to make sure I wasn't like doubling up on something weirdly. So Asteria, and I think would it make sense if like she's actually really possessive of Gabriel, and she actually has a role almost like auteur to me, which is that she sort of challenges me to be up to snuff.
I like that.
I think that was what the auteur was doing.
Huh. Imperious.
It makes sense, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. However, I sort of know her actually as someone who has dated my father.
Oh, so So she has a physical presence in the real world?
To me, yeah. I mean, I know there is a person that I know of as Asteria who, you know, anyone who is playing the game would recognize as a physical manifestation.
We don't know if
In
it's
this.
like a video game coincidence, or if she's borrowed the image, or whatnot.
Exactly.
Okay.
You know, her earrings are always stars, right? You know, and there's always that motif, and her face looks the same. But
So let's come back to Gabriel. Do you want to? What do you want to start with? The new location? Do you want to start with connecting in things, or a new covenant?
Maybe start with location.
Sure,
Yeah, apologies if my voice sounds wheezy.
it's
Yeah,
okay.
I'm
No.
thinking, yeah, so for the location, I was thinking an opera house.
Ooh.
And it's called the Fantasia. Now it's kind of got two separate theaters to it. You've got the main theater inside, which is sort of your traditional opera house trappings, you know, the black tie affair kind of thing. Now, the thing that sets the opera house apart as something of a landmark in the city is it's got this great big clock tower coming out of it. And on the interior of the clock tower, kind of just on the other side of the clock face, that actually is your black box theater. So smaller indie kinds of productions, those actually take place up top in the clock tower. And there are various stairways and elevator systems you can use to get to and from the opera house proper to the top of the clock tower. And if you so choose, they even can have it set that you pull away the curtain and you can actually have the inverted clock face as your backdrop.
Oh, nice.
It's very fancy. Yes. So I'm thinking that's what we'll go with.
I love it.
Location.
So then let's have you connect one of the NPCs or places with another NPC or place.
Okay. And is this separate from connecting them to me?
Yep. Yeah. They have
Okay.
you. They want to make it more complicated by adding additional dimensions to what we've already got on the table, and then we'll get a covenant.
Okay. So we're just connecting some NPC to either another NPC or to a place.
Yep.
Okay. Oh boy.
I know.
Yeah, I'm looking at the relationship map here. Oh boy.
By the way, if you are watching this, I will now share screen so you can see our relationship map. This makes Hartzuland entanglements look simple.
All right. Well, let's see here. I'd like to hear I'd like to hear a little bit more about I'm thinking Victoria.
Okay. So she is another student from a different high school that Charlotte ran into last time, who's kind of a dancer and an athlete and has a strong sense of justice.
track. She runs track.
Track, that's right.
Okay. So dancer, runs track, all that's the gist here. Okay.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think here if there's maybe someone who would do well kind of working at the Fantasia or at least frequenting it. If she has a dancer background, then maybe she could you know, just kind of either show up in the occasional production, you know, maybe not the headliners, but like the black box kinds of things. I could see that working.
Do you think it's that she's skilled? Do you think it's as a program? Do you think it's that her family is involved with like ownership or management?
Does she have much in the way of powerful family connections? If she,
We don't know yet.
Okay, I just saw that it says on the street on her descriptor. I wasn't sure. Okay. Yeah, let's say that her family is not an owner or operator of the Fantasia, but they are powerful donors.
Okay.
And so she has, perhaps by a little bit of talent, perhaps by a little bit of nepotism, ended up in some productions, for better or for worse. I think that sounds good.
I like it. So we got that established. Now we're going to have you establish a second covenant with one of the NPCs that are here.
Whatever the covenant or whatever the NPC is, I was reading over these covenants and I just think that the moon is a super cool one.
Mm-hmm.
And if we haven't taken the moon yet, I would like to have someone be a moon.
So let's take a look at the moon. Eventually, I'll remember what the numbers are on these. Primal, Nightmarish, Liminal. Ooh, interesting.
And to clarify, I'm not limited by my playbook as to which covenants I can select here, am I?
Right, you're not.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I just think moon is a really neat one, and the moves associated with the moon are very, very cool. So that being said, let me see here.
I feel like Amira might fit the moon for wildness, and Sugarhawk might fit it for madness.
Can you tell me a little bit more about, let me see, they both have 2 connections each. Can you tell me a little bit more about the 2 of them, Amira and Sugarhawk?
Patrick, let's have you start with Sugarhawk.
So Sugarhawk is sort of like Sasha's semi-criminal sort of dirtbag friend. He's usually peddling drugs at a club somewhere, but he sometimes helps out people he knows with jobs they're working on as lookout or driver, or those sort of things that aren't really criminal jobs, just near crimes that happen to be taking place at the same time.
Got it.
And then Pam, tell us about Amira.
Right. So Amira is an activist, kind of at the moment between jobs because she got outed for trying to do some labor organization at the Bright Eyes coffee chain where they were a barista. Sorry, I had forgotten. Yes, so they're really focused on the cause, at least from the way Pam interacts with them. So yeah, but obviously there's other dimensions to them. So
let's see then. I am okay with going moon, Sugarhawk, I think.
Okay. And what do you think? Like, what is that relationship? Do you kind of know them in a sort of the more supernatural level of your connections, or is it the more mundane? How do you think that works?
I'm thinking that our relationship is mundane, but when I am around him, I feel this sort of supernatural, almost kind of dangerous quality about him. There is this very vague sort of reality blurring kind of effect around him. Sounds don't sound quite right. The lighting doesn't seem to illuminate things normally. But I can't tell if that's something he's doing intentionally or if it is simply something that he has been cursed with. It's hard to say, but there
I
is
liked it.
this sort of, yeah.
It's super ominous, and I think that's exactly the kind of thing that we need is more ominous omens out there. All right, so that gives us our relationship maps, our connections. So you're going to end up, you have a crew covenant, and then you're going to have 2 NPC covenants, so that you have all of these various kinds of moves out there and available for yourself. So the threat that you have identified is a figure known as Doxer. And this person seems to have a supernatural ability to find and reveal information online. In particular, though, striking at workers at companies and restaurants and that kind of thing, really targeting them in a very weird way. And in fact, is the one who, as we said, got Amira fired from their job. They have been able to narrow down where the Doxer is, which is basically there's this central station Wi-Fi site that you haven't located where the sort of the door is, but you know that that's the entryway to the castle. And after several things happened last time, they were able to identify the person as a Russ Kubiak, who's a 20-something, who they don't know much about. Somebody mentioned that he comes from a family with some money. I think that was one of the things that was mentioned. But that's as far as the group had gotten in establishing things last time. And we left off sort of middle of that second day with city moves.
Lowell?
Yes.
So Gabriel still has character creation stuff to weapon and item and
Oh,
roll
that's
and
right.
gauges.
Oh no.
It'll be hard to use city moves without the gauges.
This is
Yeah.
that. Yes, you are absolutely
Or rather,
right.
it'll be really easy to do.
Yeah, it's
city
very
moves
easy
without
to use city
gauges.
moves.
All right, so let me walk through that with you, Gabriel. I apologize.
Oh, no worries.
So we're gonna get to my steps here. All right. So you got a rank last time of the void, so you would have gotten an advance, would have gotten a something for that. Usually you would take a move. I don't know if you already took that or not yet.
Yeah, I took a psychopomp, I think.
Okay. So you're next going to pick your gear and your signature weapon, and there are drop downs for that, I believe. Rather, there's a signature weapon is when we see you in the castle, what is it you're carrying? And you're going to pick a perk and a flaw for it. And then gear is kind of additional things you might have.
Okay. And you do drop down kind of one from each, it looks like.
Yeah, yep.
Okay, got it. Oh boy. Let me see here. Can I take a minute to review these?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. let's see. And it looks like I also have to do something regarding the city, like choosing a role or something to that effect.
Well, we'll
That's
come
it.
to that in just a
Okay.
moment.
One at a
Okay.
time.
Sure. Oh geez, I should have thought of a weapon.
What did you use in the thing? I think you just used improvised stuff and kind of anime punched your way through, right?
Basically, yes. It was I was like, fallen electrical cables, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, we have kind of a chain weapon, we have a ranged weapon, we have cat claws. Um, um, let's go spear. I
Okay.
think that's yeah, kind of a longer reach sort of weapon.
Is it a spear? Is it a trident? Is it I mean, is it what kind of, or just a real classic thing?
I was thinking about trident because I have the whole nautical thing sort of going on. I think I will just go with spear.
Okay.
Maybe, but we'll split the difference and say harpoon.
Okay.
But those are huge things. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
like but I mean, 2 scale harpoon. And do these perks have discrete technical
They
differences
do
between
have
them?
mechanical effects.
Okay.
Let me see if I can find the.
Legacy game. There's nothing that doesn't have more mechanical effects than you think it does.
So interesting.
I will find the gear thing. Yes. So like cleave can hit a bunch of foes with a single attack. Hefty like knocks people down.
Mhm.
And then there's mechanical effects for the flaws as well.
Okay, I think we'll go with hefty because harpoons are these giant things.
Okay.
I mean, it's essentially a 10+ foot pole with a barb on the end of it.
Mhm.
And then for flaws, that's interesting. What does talisman, painful, and unstable do?
Sure. So talisman is formed from an item that's important to you. If it is lost or damaged, you're going to tick a gauge. Painful, it will hurt you if things go wrong. Using it always risks marking a condition. And then what was the other one?
Unstable.
Using it staggers you, making you vulnerable and slow.
Oh, interesting. Let's go with painful. I think that one is interesting. Like it's a
Okay.
very powerful weapon, but it could come back to bite you.
And then you're going to pick a gear that you have with you.
Okay. Let's go. There's portable hole. There's claws. There is just. Let's go portable hole, and I get another one. Fabulous.
Oh no, that's if you take it avoid advance.
You get a second one only
Yeah.
if you take the advance. Okay, we'll come back to that another time then. Okay.
Portable hole is nice though. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to kind of flip to the city side, and you're going to pick a category that you have. So basically what the castle sees you as. And for you, it's pretender, interloper, and lurker. If you look at the playbook, it tells you kind of what that looks like. And we're going to have you put a black mark in one of your city gauges as a result of that.
Okay. I think it would be pretender because I am posing as a high school student, and that puts a black mark into blood.
Blood. Yep.
Okay.
And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to. Oh, you got it. You know what to do. So those are sort of permanent states there. Now you're also going to add some stress gauges there. These are the issues in your character's plate. Each playbook has a fixed starting set, 2 particular gauges with 2 ticks and 3 gauges with 3. So you're going to mark a tick in blood and lack, just one,
Yep.
and then 2 in all the others.
Okay, all done.
Okay. And we've already got your contact. So I think that's the big thing. When we come to you, we'll also be making a roll for you for like how things are in your current state. In fact, actually, let's start with that. What is your worst gauge?
In terms of,
Number of ticks that are on it.
we have 4 that are tied at 3.
Okay. Which of those gauges would you like to roll with?
Can I get just a quick description of what they are?
Absolutely. So as we kind of look at those gauges, get back to the page here. So blood, can I get to this page? Find the descriptor. Where is that? Sorry.
Oh, no, good. No worries.
There's our conditions.
Page 28 has listing of the stress gauges.
Perfect. So blood is your mental and physical health. How much strain you're under, sort of more ticks you are, the more close you are to being ill or sick. Lack is the precariousness of your social situation. The more higher that, the closer you are to being out on the street, having no money. Infamy is the more are you famed, tolerated, or reviled? The more you have, the more you risk being shunned by society. Heat is for how aware hostile elements are of your interference in their activities. The more ticks, the closer the vassal and the rest of the castle's minions are to finding your identity. And then lastly, fealty is the depth to which the castle has penetrated your subconscious. As you accumulate ticks, you grow more likely to see others only as resources to exploit for your own benefit.
Let's go with heat.
Okay. So the way that this works is you're going to be rolling 2d6 and your heat is a 3. So what you would like on that 2d6 are 4s or better, because you want to roll higher than that 3. When we're going to check each of those dice to see how many of them roll 4 or higher.
Okay, so just 2d6, and we're looking for a 4+.
On each one.
Each individual one. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. It's a 2 and a 3.
A 2 and a 3. So right now that crisis is imminent, meaning that for you, you've escaped out and you know that the forces of this other world are aware and are searching for you. Now, there are city moves that you can do to try and offset that, to try and reduce that crisis from being imminent to just less intense, meaning it's quelled. And the other thing is that right now, for this, until you get that settled, while it is imminent, you're going to have disadvantage rolling on heat. If you have to roll heat for something, you're going to be rolling with disadvantage.
Okay.
Okay.
And do I need to write in the nature of the crisis?
I think that's kind of, we kind of see in play.
Okay.
Well, actually, it does say thing. What do you think is the feeling or the detail or the sense that you have that tells you that these supernatural forces are searching for you?
I think there is maybe a calling card motif of some kind of hunter.
Hunter's card. All right. Yeah, so you can write that in under crisis. We do have space for that. All right. So that gets all of our characters in play. That gets all the details. I think we've got everything set. All right. I'm going to look at Patrick.
So, but who
Okay.
even knows?
Who even knows?
We may have a fourth session of character creation. Let's all cross our fingers.
Here's what we're going to do. We're just at about the hour. So we're going to take our first break, which is our long break. So we'll take 10 and come back about 7-ish after the hour. Okay. 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 I have it on good authority that character creation is done. David, thank you for being patient with us as we went through it. Kind of made you jump in and have to hit everything and put the spotlight on you there for a bit. So we found out about this character. That's kind of where we left off last time. We are in the second half of our second day. We have ticks on the clock. So we're going to come and do another city action with everybody. And we'll give you a chance, Gabriel, to do your first city action. And we'll talk about where your covenants are at. I don't think you have any conditions marked, do you, Gabriel?
I might have had one from that
you have
fight.
angry.
Yeah, yeah.
So you might take a look through the city universal moves and see there are some ways to use those to clear things. So, Sasha, I'm going to start with you. We're in the second half of this second day. What would you like to do? And your problem has been pushed back a little, right?
Yes, my crisis is no longer imminent. No, it is imminent, but it's still with something. I don't know.
Now, I think we moved
How do you unimminent?
Oh no, the first thing we did was we removed it from being dire, right?
Yes,
Dire, I thought, was independent of imminence.
But I think he removed the dire and now he has
Okay.
to remove the
I
imminent.
wasn't sure if you could. I wasn't sure there was any way to remove dire. I thought all you could do was make it imminent or quelled. And then if it's dire, what that just means is that if it's imminent while it's dire, it's really bad. It gives you a permanent black mark.
Okay.
Like I said, I thought they were,
let's
I didn't,
see,
at least that's how I understood it last session. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm confused.
I know Pam's was dire. I don't
Mine was
think
dire.
mine was dire.
Okay.
No,
think
I
idea
don't,
just didn't
I think
click
I
off.
full on failed.
So it was imminent,
Yeah.
but I thought that we had done some action to remove it, or did it move
Yeah.
back to being imminent for some reason?
I don't think it
I
moved.
thought it was
Okay.
quelled.
Yeah. So uncheck the imminent.
Okay.
All right. So Sasha, your problem is you do have a couple of conditions marked.
Yeah, definitely.
So what do you want to do?
So I think Sasha's feeling a little bit bad because Charlotte and Pam keep talking about like all the work they've done tailing and tracking down this Doxer guy, and I haven't really contributed to that at all. So I want to do something rebel-y and related to the vassal. We've figured out sort of where he's working and who he is. We know his last target. What about his next target? How could I track down his next target?
Oh, that's interesting. So here is the question is, are you going about this by kind of doing research, looking into things, or is there somebody you're going to that might provide a connection?
think Sasha works through connections when he can, rather than research.
So
So
who
looking
is
at
it?
this
Yeah.
84-sided diagram.
And we can again, we can establish in the fiction somebody who would be somebody who might know or have a sense of what the vassal's likely next target would be.
Well, actually, looking at the sort of like obvious approach,
Mhm.
Amira just got burned by him. I imagine she's put some thought and energy into the why and how. And I just, built major connection with her. Maybe she could, or they could, point me towards someone.
That seems fair. So let's have essentially your connection with Amira be the sort of focal point there, and choose. So what do you want your approach to be? They talk about convincing them, talking about the vassal's threat, or kind of putting up a false front. What do you think is your connect approach here?
I think Amira is someone that can understand the sort of threat of the vassal, if not necessarily the depths of the supernatural side.
Mm-hmm.
They've definitely dealt with people like this before. So I think they're open if I'm straight with them about, like, you're just the first step. Like, this person's looking to start a fire, and they're gonna burn all the people that we care about in it.
Let's have you roll then. I think with infamy is what we're testing, or
Make
heat.
the vassal's threat clear with
Okay, heat. Okay.
connect. Okay. And the tabs, I have heat. I have some heat. I have 3 heat.
Okay.
So some dice are gonna do a thing. Oh, that's a 3 and a 1. They both missed.
So the good news is I believe you get to mark something when you fail a city roll, right?
I avoid.
Yep.
And I think Amira will direct you to somebody who kind of knows secondhand. Give me an online handle.
Eclipse.
Okay. And it's spelled all kind of weird ways to do that, of course.
There's some X's at either side.
And you're talking to Eclipse and kind of asking around about this. And Eclipse does have a sense. And we'll say, yeah, there's a Bright Eyes that is just now moving to unionize, and there's been a lot of talk there and stuff. And I know that's the kind of thing that Doxer hates, and he will definitely go after the leadership of that. It's going to be great. It's going to be so awesome. Why are you asking?
Well, I mean, I figured with how he treated you, you'd be looking to shut him
No, this
down.
is a person that Eclipse hit. This is Eclipse who you've been sent to.
Gotcha. Sorry. just doing market research, worried about the spillover into other service areas in the city. Wouldn't want this sort of thing to spread.
Okay. Okay. And I think that's the moment that you realize that maybe this guy, A, is a little bit tighter with the vassal than you would have liked, and B, has noted you, has noted your name, has done that. Would you please put a tick in heat?
Yeah, I think I make a point about talking about being like as a local business owner, and like I
Ah.
tell him about the shop.
Oh, okay. Okay. He's like, yeah. Well, I'll keep you in mind. If I hear anything more, I'll have maybe I'll have him get in touch with you.
Yeah. Yeah, keep me in mind. I'll check back in with you.
And you have a very bad feeling about this.
That would bring.
So let us come to Pam for your
Okay.
second action of the day.
All right. At this exact moment. So I'm trying to remember. I want to say I did. I'm pretty sure I did an everyday action for my first.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's true. So yeah, I am going to try to hunt up for more information.
Okay.
So
what is it you're looking for? Let's start with that with intent here.
yeah, so I kind of want to get to the point, you know what? I think we know who this guy is. Maybe I don't want to just get information. Maybe I do want to actually try to confront him and see if I can get him shake something loose. So maybe I should just make a stand.
Interesting.
Like let the chips fall where they may, but just really, I want to ratchet. This is a guy who's like a spider in his web. I'm going to shake that web and see what he does. There's not a whole lot more he can do to me, at least as far as I can tell. I'm probably wrong, but I might. It's if he's paying attention to me, he's not paying attention to other people.
All right. So tell me what that looks like.
All right. So I think I'm going to confront him I guess the root question: does he return to the to that location again, to that Wi-Fi place?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, it's still his.
It's where he dwells. It's his castle. You know that somewhere there has to be a doorway, but you don't know where that is yet.
Right. Okay. Well, then I'm going to pop up, walk up behind him, and perhaps with a beverage from a local business, and ask him, just sort of intrusively ask him, "Oh, so what you working on?" I may have noticed that he's noticed me. Maybe I haven't, but he's sure as heck going to notice me now.
He certainly twigged you before, and he will spin around in his chair, and he's like, "I've seen you here before. What do you want?"
"Oh, I just want to know what you're working on."
"None of your fucking business."
"Oh, so you really care heavily about privacy then?"
Let's have you roll blood. Like let's see how you do with this.
Yeah, probably not great.
Okay.
I'll check. Okay, my blood's not terrible. Just it's a 3.
Okay.
So oh, I gotta refresh the page.
Oh.
All right. Complete failure.
He says, Pam, you should probably leave me alone right now, Miss Doriat. What condition do you want to mark?
Hmm. I mean, I'm assuming that I'm to take that as a. Well, I'm assuming I'm to take this as a threat, right?
There is a little bit of that menace in his voice. He clearly knows your name.
Right. I feel like though I'm gonna mark angry here. I
Okay.
don't think this is going to. I mean, it is a classic thing in the PI profession to not to kick the hornet's nest until the hornets come out, and that tells you which hornet's nest's alive. He's threatening me, which means I'm on the right track.
Absolutely. I'm also going to tick another tick on the vassal clock.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
What do you do? Like, you can tell
Mhm.
this is not a guy that you're going to rattle this way.
Mhm.
And he certainly already has some leverage and upper hand.
So I feel like I've got a beverage. I'm going to sit at a computer and just stare at him while he's working, preferably from behind, or if at all possible, but if not, right next to him.
I think the thing that strikes you is that when he gets to work, for one thing, like whatever angle you're at, you can't see what he's doing on screen.
Mhm.
And he goes into his own little world.
Mhm.
Do you have a cell phone?
I probably do.
Okay. That's all I needed to know.
Mhm.
How long do you stay there?
I'll probably stay until he leaves. Yeah.
Okay, so you're there for several hours, and he doesn't get up himself to leave. You will see this guy come in,
Mhm.
and kind of a little bit of a bruiser type,
Mhm.
and comes and waits, and when Doxer is done, he gets up, looks at you, and heads out with this maybe a bodyguard, maybe a
Mhm.
servant. You're not sure.
Okay.
Let's come to Charlotte. This is your second action.
No, I think I might want to do the one where I seek out Gabriel and do a hangout with him.
Okay.
So, and that one is called like check-in, right?
Yeah. Well, you can just do you can do the crew hangout, the crew covenant, or we can do the other one.
Well, it says check-in is if I meet with a rebel, so it would be Gabriel, you trigger their hangout move and they trigger yours. When you
Okay.
check against fealty on a hit, pick one. On a strong hit, pick both.
Okay. So let's start and do the reciprocal
Yeah.
hangout move.
Okay.
So what is the hangout move, Gabriel, that triggers that you have that Charlotte will trigger?
So mine is from the star, I believe. And it says when you hang out with the star, they'll say what they're in the process of creating. At some point in the scene, they'll ask you what you think, describe your honest feelings about it, and your place in the world to mark world or void as appropriate.
So what are you creating?
If it's not too meta, I
Sure.
think that I am doing some world building for a tabletop role-playing game that I'm trying to
Okay.
put together. And because I think Gabriel would actually find the idea of creating and existing in alternate worlds to be very interesting, given what he's been through and what he is. So I think it's still on brand.
Okay.
So he's got the graph paper and he is drawing and there's hexes and it's a whole, yeah, I mean, that's the kind of thing that you might find, Charlotte.
So is it like modern or is it fantasy or is it like what kind of world is it that you're building, or is it sci-fi?
I'm thinking very romanticized Arthurian fantasy, where there are very clear good guys, very clear bad guys, and there's none of that pesky moral ambiguity to muck things up.
Exactly, which is probably the only way that Charlotte would kind of be able to, follow what's going on in the sense of why you're doing this. And so she'll go, well, see, if I tell you exactly what I think, my honest feelings and my place in the world to mark. Let's see here. I think she looks at it and she goes, well, like, where are the fields? Where are the people who do the food?
I think that I look at it for a second and I pause and I realize that has completely slipped my mind. It did not occur to me that you actually need to have like agriculture in this kind of thing, that I forget that people need those things.
She goes, and then you need mills, and then you need bakeries. And she goes, I only know that because, and she sort of stops and goes, my dad has this book. And well, anyway, it's pretty cool though. If you lay them out the way that they are, it like really changes how the cities have to be built.
So Charlotte, why don't you go ahead and mark one world?
Okay.
And Gabriel, you're going to have the Wheel of Fortune move triggered there. So Sherry, do you want to talk about what that means?
Sure. I got to mark that world though. It's like it's in the middle instead of where I expect it to be. Okay. So essentially world is when you hang out with Wheel of Fortune, flip a coin. On a heads, they show you an opportunity you hadn't considered, and on tails, they'll show you the course that you're on might lead to disaster. But whatever it is, you'll gain fleeting advantage acting on the insights.
So what is it you think you're talking with the person that you're kind of, I don't want to say bound to, but connected to? Like what's bothering you, and what do you think you would be talking about there, Gabriel?
And when you say the person who I'm connected to, do you mean Charlotte? Or?
Yeah.
Right. So what am I talking about that's bothering me? I think I am talking about how unfair it seems to be and how unjust it is that these people, because I still think of the vassals as people, because if they're not people, then I'm not either. It's so unfair that these people get to hurt others this way? I mean, what kind of world is this? You know, I didn't ask for this, and I kind of toss my colored pencils onto the graph paper in kind of a fit of just exasperated burnout. Why do things have to be this way? I ask.
Let's have you roll a die, Gabriel. Even is heads, odd is tails.
That is a 4, which translates to heads.
Okay. So, Charlotte, what would you suggest to them?
I think she sort of stops and says, "But you came from there, right?"
I think so.
What was it that you did that you could do that gave you power that might hurt people?
What is it that I did that gave me power?
And she sort of stops. She goes, you were a vassal. You were from the castle, right? So you did, I mean, you had some ability there. And probably when you were there, you were supposed to use it to hurt people, right?
Right.
But you don't now.
I guess I stopped looking at them as if they were people. I think that's the only reason I ever could hurt anyone.
So could you help other vassals see it that way?
I can try.
All right. And so you will have fleeting advantage on a move that kind of interacts in the sphere of the vassals. Now, the other part of the hangout move is for us to check fealty, right? So go ahead and roll fealty.
So you roll 2 dice and try to roll higher than your fealty, correct?
That is correct.
All right, you go ahead and do, is it only I or do both of us get to do it?
Just you.
Okay, here we go. All I gotta do is find the roller. There we are. Okay.
The roller has been decidedly unkind so
Is it?
far.
Well, either way, I'll keep the trend going. Okay, I'm rolling 2d6. And I got a 4 and 2, so that gave me 1 success.
Okay. So on a hit, you're going to pick one. One of you heals a condition, or one of you intensifies your crew covenant.
How about one of us heals a condition, and I will give that to Gabriel.
Okay. So Gabriel, you only have angry marks, so you may clear that. Gabriel, let's come to a city move for you. What would you like to do?
Well, I noticed, by the way, that I think my crisis has been upgraded to dire. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, it is. It is dire on a miss. It's dire and imminent.
Oh dear. Okay.
Yes.
Is there some way that I can interact with that? I feel like that might be a good way to kind of integrate me into the story, as if I get involved with a really difficult situation while we're in the city realm. Is that a thing I can work on?
Yeah. So one of the things you can do is there is the everyday action wolf at the door. You can do it when it does to keep the wheels turning, quell a crisis, yours or someone else's. And essentially you get to pick and narrate how you do that.
Got it. So I think what I'm trying to do is to identify who the hunter is
Okay.
that has been either assigned or destined to target me. And so, I'm trying to think, maybe there might be some way that I can kind of like leave a trap for them, almost, at least just insofar as I'm able to identify who they are.
Okay.
Not to make you like make an NPC up out of nowhere
No,
or
no, no.
anything, but I think that would be what I would be doing, is I'm trying to do some kind of subterfuge in order to identify who the hunter is.
So let's have you, that seems like putting in the work, right?
I think that's fair. Sure.
Okay. What condition are you going to mark?
Scared. This thing terrifies me, probably.
I think that you will leave some essence of yourself behind and kind of observe from a distance. And eventually this figure in a dark black suit, that kind of black that seems to absorb the light, comes and looks at it, and you realize you've seen not this guy, but elements of this guy around. Like you've seen the suit, you've seen his shoes, you've seen his hair, you've seen his face on different people around. And you have a sense that that's maybe kind of how he hunts. And he kind of looks and does the thing where he touches where the essence is and kind of sniffs at it and looks around and closes his eyes and listens and then moves on. But I think that gives you a little bit of an edge here to make it harder for him to sneak up on you. So we move it, we can remove it from imminent. We can take that off the table, that you've got a little bit of information about him. Tell me, what is the most familiar thing about him, the element from your past life that you see echoed on him?
I wonder, Charlotte, do you have siblings? I was thinking he might look like one of your siblings.
My little brother. Yeah, I have a little brother, I have a little sister. My little brother is only like 4 years younger than me. My little sister's 6 years younger than me.
Okay. So they're kind of like younger adolescents then, if that. Okay.
So is it that there's something of that face that you see there, but like that kind of weird aged up a little bit?
I like that. Yeah, maybe he also kind of might have like their eyes,
Yeah.
or something to that effect, but there's something like unmistakably like them. If that's okay with you, Charlotte.
Yeah, sure. Like he has a gnome in his eye, like he has green eyes, but there's a brown spot that you can visibly see in it, or something like that. Where the irises are two colors.
I like it. So you get a sense of that. You put, now you can put a little distance between yourself and this hunter. However, it is still dire, which means if they do catch up with you, it will be bad. So I'd like to hard frame the group together, like the following day, to kind of share information and talk about the resources, at the aquarium hideout, shall we say. And we'll say this is a Saturday, so not a school day, so that you have a little bit of spare time. It's also probably the big day at the aquarium, so it's much easier to shuffle in with the crowds and kind of get lost and find your way to your room that's there with the fish aquariums, the back sides of those in there. So what kind of table do you think that you have here, Sasha? You are muted on Zoom.
Oh, just muted everywhere. I think it's one of those like prefab particle board, put it together from a box thing that's
Okay.
supposed to be like an every card game, gambling game sort of table. So it's got like all these conflicting lines and markers on it, and the felt sort of coming out from the edges.
I like that. And Pam, is there any space here to like relax, or is it very efficient, or what else
Well,
might be in the room?
couches are definitely, there for that purpose.
Okay.
So yes.
All right. Like leather couches, like
Yeah, I imagine they're beat up leather couches that are still very, very comfortable.
okay. The you can see the spots where somebody has taken the little leather stuff to kind of glue edges back together. You can see where somebody had a pet at some point.
Oh yeah, well cared for, scratched up, and,
Yeah. Charlotte, what sort of snacks are on display here?
Oh, that's a good question. I think there are things that we've slowly brought in over time. So you've got that weird thing of each person's like the kind of thing they pick up and bring in, and we've sort of accumulated a drift of those like small snack bags of salty things, like I don't know, someone likes Funyuns, and this kind of thing, and someone has picked up some Doritos at some point, but they like bought like a snack box of them, so there's like 2 of each kind, and then there's like gummy worms in a big jar, but they're the kind of cheap ones, so they're not great, and yeah.
They have
then,
fused into a king worm in places.
Exactly. Maybe you got to really, really pull. And then Charlotte typically brings like lunch boxes when she comes. So.
And Gabriel, this is a kind of a slightly more liminal space here. I think you aren't necessarily in your costumes of the castle while you're in here, but you're slightly different. So like, what looks different about you when you enter into this space?
I think that my hair is perpetually damp.
Okay.
Like it looks like I just got out of the shower
I love
hours
it.
after I've already been there.
Awesome. So we'll assume that the discussion has gone on. Some of the information has been passed on, and I think we kind of Pam has just explained the tactic that she took. Does that seem fair? Kind of like that'll be our opening gambit here. And what's your attitude as you're describing this, Pam? Triumphant or worried or neutral? How do you seem?
I mean, I'm worried, I think. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I know that, I didn't shake him up. So there's something coming.
So there's that kind of pause after you've told your story and let's what are other people thinking? Sasha?
It's just, I don't know. It's frustrating. It's just some guy using a computer to find stuff out. How do we even know where he's going, what he's going after, how he's getting it? There's nothing I can touch with this guy.
Oh, I mean, maybe he'll go after me.
You said
That
he
was
had
the
a
idea.
bodyguard, right?
Yeah. I'll
So no,
describe-
he won't go after you.
Oh no, I mean, no, who knows? If he sends a bodyguard after me, that's a whole different kettle of fish. You know. It's not the first time someone's taken a swing at me in my line of work, so won't be the last.
But the power that he has that he uses against us is online. Is there
Yeah.
something that we can do that'll, I don't know, pull him away, pull him to someplace, make him go? She goes, like, when he goes to hurt people, is he going in there into the castle to do that? Is that where he's at? Because he seems like he does a good job just sitting there.
Well, it's almost like he's transcending reality when he's doing this. And he definitely seems to be doing more than just what a hacker can do.
That must be where he's pulling his information from, cheating and looking through the walls in the world.
So we're assuming that the door to the castle is a door like we've seen for other people, like something you walk through. What if it's just like, I don't know, what he's plugging the computer into, like the power out?
Like the door is whatever he plugs the computer into.
Mm-hmm. Or at least it gives him enough entry to it. What if we?
Well, he's always sitting in the same spot, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure part of that is just he's a creature of habit. But yeah, there could be something about that particular spot that has become a door.
In the past, you know that at the doorway, the space can be, simply a space that you step through in between things, or it can be an actual door. It's definitely a place you move through physically.
The physical manifestation is going to be a place, right? Going to be a location you can travel through, as it were. Is what you're saying, I assume.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. And just as a slight out of game mention, I am paying a fair amount of attention to the Emperor's New Clothes castle move. My goal is to get a few pings off of that before this is all said and done. So
Mhm. Yeah, so that definitely you've got some things that you've met there.
So just I wasn't sure that I wasn't sure everyone was thinking about that.
Sure.
Move, but I'm like, we need to confront this guy in the city first so that we can confront him for reals in the castle. So I'm acting as the bait in the city right now.
Okay.
Mhm.
I guess what I was saying is that whatever he's getting enough of the castle's power to do real damage just sitting where he is. But if we make it so he can't use that, he actually does have to go through his door.
That's entirely possible. How do we want to do that? I mean, I could try to get there before he does and sit in the spot. He already knows who I am. So there's probably no more risk of just ticking him off even more. I mean, I'm probably wrong, but I don't know what risk it is right now. So what's a little bit more?
Thought maybe we could disable the outlet. I've got electrical skills.
You know, we could really just put some glue in it.
Yeah,
It'd be fine.
see?
I'm sure some super glue in that outlet would be, you know,
And
amply
then she stops
efficient.
and she goes, the only thing is it would be a pretty significant act of vandalizing that could be held against us.
Yeah, that's why I was suggesting I just sit there.
Oh, okay. And then, but that doesn't mean he will get to see the door.
No, if you're right, and he wants to use the door, but he can't do it in his normal way, he may have to actually
Keep
get-
in mind that he doesn't use the door, just to
Oh,
like,
he doesn't
let's
use the
go
door.
to the metaphysical.
Okay, got it. All right.
Again, the castle is his mind space that is associated with the place. And what you're doing is entering into that sort of magical thing to find out things, to disrupt things, to find the enforcers, to build up, to eventually get to the heart of it, to find the way to the heart of it, to confront him.
Mhm.
So there's sort of two layers there.
So the door doesn't have to be anything that has anything to do with his physical place or his computer.
Right. It's more, it will be in the location, but it's more about the way that you enter in.
Mhm. I mean, I'm also wondering whether or not we want to try to just dig into more information about this guy, or in particular, put on some pressure ourselves, like, you know, try to get some people, maybe get some white hat folks to fight back. Maybe I'm not really sure how to do that, but if there's anybody here who does, or alternatively, you know, this is a rich kid who's causing trouble. My thinks is that he probably still lives with his parents, and maybe his parents agree or not, but you know, might be interesting if they knew what he was up to.
We know no matter what, he's recruited at least some people to his side.
Well,
They
recruited
never
or
worked
blackmailed.
alone before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a troll, a minor troll army out there somewhere.
Well,
This guy is mobilizing.
my point is maybe the burn contact that I met with earlier is part of that network. Maybe we could start to try and trace some of his support network and take that out from under him.
Okay. All right, what do you suggest then?
Follow that guy and see who pays him off?
Wait, someone's being paid off?
I don't know.
It doesn't seem like he's being paid off. Seems like he's just enjoying the harassment.
And those guys are everywhere.
I mean, at some point he's going to connect with someone and do something unpleasant or illegal, and I'll follow him from there. We don't know anything about this guy except maybe this one point of contact, so I'm just going to watch it till it does something.
Well, can we at least figure out where he lives?
Sure. And she sort of stops and says, I mean, it's the QBX, right?
Mhm.
So should be pretty easy to find. Let's see here. And she won't use her own, well, God, would she? Because she would use her phone and just do a search for, you know, essentially, I
Mhm.
don't know, the local newspaper on QBAC. If they're of money, they should show up there somewhere.
I think that it's pretty easy to establish that the Kubiak family has a good deal of money. But there's a certain amount of like that sort of mid-tier wealth that gives you kind of a level of anonymity beyond what they want as the public facade. I mean, you could dig deeper, and at that point, we're going to move.
Yeah.
What do you think, Charlotte? Would you like to do that? Because we could do a once around now and kind of check in with what people want to do to pursue leads or push on things.
I don't think I'm the right person to do that because this would be about passing beneath notice at the very least, I think, right?
It'd
Or-
be Rebel Eyes.
Rebel Eyes. Let's see here. Check against heat. That's my. Sure. I mean, I would happily do that. I can be the first one to mess that up, but good. So, yeah. Let's try it.
Okay. What is it?
Can I help?
Yeah, I believe that
Sure.
there is help out.
Yep.
So I believe your covenant is still intense or bright, right?
It's still bright.
Okay. So you will share in the consequences, but you can roll with advantage, Charlotte.
Oh, cool. Okay. So that's 3d6. And
What is your heat?
oh, what a fine question. I'm pretty sure it's 3, but check.
Yes, it is 3.
All right. So let's try. So I got 1 success.
1 success.
Sorry.
So let's see. On a weak hit, you watched 2.
And it's not bad.
Okay. So let's see. I think that to do this, to get the information that you want, is going to tick heat for both of you.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. Just because everything ticks heat with this guy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
So what you will find out is that the Kubiaks are a wealthy family, that they have several children who are sort of in that succession style, maneuvering for control of the company kind of thing. They're all in their 30s. And this guy is the youngest of them and barely mentioned. You have the sense that, like, this is a child that was born when the parents were in their 50s, and probably in part raised by older siblings, but more likely raised by servants and things like that. And he is the sort of ignored black sheep of the family, and he has come to be just resentful of people, and clearly what's happening is a certain amount of trying to get power because he's in a powerless situation as he perceives it. He doesn't perceive all of his advantages. He doesn't perceive his privilege. He perceives himself as woe is me. And he's very much kind of an Ayn Randian sort of a figure of kind of selfishness. And he definitely has a following, but not a big one. He doesn't have the social skills to like develop like an Instagram or YouTube or TikTok or any of that. You can see that there are failed attempts of that in his history. Absolute failures, just because he doesn't know how to interact. So all he has is this group, which is the group that Sasha's person was in, Eclipse, that is a group of people that are an online posse that follow his triumphs in doxing people. They're on one of these, local boards, and it's not even like a big one. They're not even like present on Reddit or one of the 4chan or things like that. It's so desperate. Does that seem like a reasonable thing? Does that give you information, Charlotte? You're good with that? Okay.
Sorry, I would have liked to reply, but the cat was getting in the way of my
we
mute
saw the
button.
tail go
Yes.
by.
So
It was like a sandworm passing by the.
yeah, I think one of the things that happens that makes my heat go up is I'm kind of like reading their stuff on their board, and essentially voice activation turns on and types into one of the things, yikes, which is what I say. And then even though I erase it, they still, there's still the record that it.
I like that. Gabriel, we haven't heard from you for a bit. What are your thoughts, or maybe what do you want to do as an action here?
Excuse me. So just to make sure I'm understanding this right.
Sure.
The current plan, now that we've got this information, do we have a follow-up?
Do we have a what?
A follow-up as to what we're going to do to sabotage, confront, or otherwise aggress against this guy.
Now, I think that's an open question right now. In terms of the castle moves, right now you've confronted the vassal in person in the city for Emperor's New Clothes. We'll get another one soon with the mundane self has suffered at their orders. But some of the other ones are still open.
I see.
And actually, let me that's a really good question. Let me give another piece of information before I go on. It is very clear from where you see in pictures with this guy when he is, with family meetings and things like that, he is almost always by his sister. And you think that there's a bond there. Like you have a sense that there's some connection with his sister, Marguerite.
And you said that he was kind of 30s-ish aged?
He's only in his 20s.
Oh, he's younger. I see.
Yeah.
Don't suppose anyone would be interested in meeting Marguerite, would they?
What does she seem like?
She is one of these corporate people who are in the battle to control the Kubiak company and estate. She manages one of their financial institutions, but she's also a society person who goes and does donations and causes and stuff like that.
Okay, so if we go back to about 20 years ago, or 18 or 19, however old he is, what was she doing then?
She was in college. You're talking about when he was born?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was in college. Actually, she took a year off from college. She went and did a year abroad.
Did she? So what are the chances that, in fact, that is his mother?
Pretty good.
And what are the chances he knows that?
That's an open question.
Mhm.
I feel bad. I feel sad. All right, there we go. This is not the thing I want to use against someone.
Because some families are very good at hiding this, as you know. The person that we know that was in this situation didn't find out until they were in college.
Oh, golly.
What do you think, Gabriel?
Yeah. Think that it might be, well, it just kind of like I'm trying. I think I would like to have us interact with her in some fashion, but I'm just trying to find a way in to do that. Although alternatively, we could track down and defeat one of their enforcers. I kind of like that idea too. That might be easier.
I think we need an enforcer to come out first.
Well, the enforcers also dwell in the castle as well.
That would be a
so
castle
we
thing.
can, yeah, that's something.
You can confront them
um,
there.
It does
'cause
occur to me.
Yeah, just to say mechanically, the enforcers don't usually come out until we kind of get all the ticks on the vassal clock, or as a
Okay.
result of a move. But otherwise, they're there in the castle trying to block your way.
Oh, okay. Mendel, were you going to say something?
I was going to suggest the Fantasia seems like the likely site for a fundraiser.
Oh,
So maybe that's a good opportunity. Throwing this out there.
I like the idea. If you have the connections in order to throw something like that on such short notice.
Oh, I
And-
was more wondering whether something was coming up.
Oh, I am fine with introducing that as a detail if people are keen on it.
Yeah, I think that it would be logistically and narratively good for her to be attending an opera fundraiser this evening, which you could get into, but it would probably take kind of pressuring somebody who has some pull there, maybe putting some pressure on Victoria. Does that seem like a fair cost for that? Let's take our second break, our 5-minute break here, real quick, and then we'll kind of come in and kind of see how the steps go. We are all just wading through the waters of this game, so we're figuring it out. So let's take 5. So let's pause here. So let's kind of trace back. I want to trace and kind of explain the move we just did. So I pictured that as for the Universal City move, which is the universe move, to take a risk, like establishing something and then kind of establishing a cost for potentially having it is sort of how that works. So that's how I kind of did that. Let me talk about some other resources that players might consider, because we've got a lot of moves. We've got a lot of moves. Your hangout moves with your covenants, also a number of them do like give you insight on the case or provide connections or things like that. So when you're looking at what your options are, those are things to consider. So Gabriel, do you think you are calling on Victoria, or asking Charlotte to call on Victoria? What do you think?
I think maybe both. I definitely want to be there.
Okay. Then let's do a little scene with Gabriel and Charlotte, like meeting up with Victoria. Does that seem cool? And then we'll come in and do Sasha and Pam's move. So where do you run or go to meet up with Victoria, Charlotte?
Oh, I think um that I got their phone number. And I say, hey, let's meet up anywhere you want, but I could desperately use some bubble tea. And I'm gonna bring a friend with me. And then I'll, the parentheses, he's a cutie. And then
And I think we cut to the boba tea place, probably at one of the stations there. And I do think, Gabriel, from your picture, you are a cutie. So I do think there is a bit where she's kind of like maybe a little bit like keeping the boba tea in front of her as a kind of an embarrassment thing there. And she's like, so you like opera?
no, but I do like dressing up. She goes, do you like opera?
Well, I do. I mean, my family has some connections there. And then she kind of looks at Gabriel like, but I mean, you don't like opera, do you?
I'll try anything once. I mean, not like try it,
But
but
boba tea
I've
goes
listened
up.
to it. That sort of thing. And I think there's kind of like the anime sweat drop.
Yeah. Well, I could. I mean, it's really last minute, but I could get you tickets.
Well, that's okay. We can pay you back.
No. You don't have to pay me back. I mean, I wouldn't be paying for them. It's just my family has some, and I don't usually ask, but I could do that.
Let's do it. You come with us?
Sure. And then she kind of looked, and you want? Did you want to come, Gabriel?
Yeah, that sounds like a plan. Three's company, isn't that what they say? Is that the idiom?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Sure. What are we watching? And I think it's apparent that I have no idea what actually is going on at the opera.
They're doing Carmen.
Ooh, a lot of the music that is super well known. You might not even know you know it.
Oh,
So-
okay. No, that sounds good. Yeah. Thanks. I mean, when can we get the tickets by? I'll make it worth your while one way or the other.
Oh, but T goes up again.
I mean, like in a I'm sorry.
You could give her one of your patented tours of the aquarium.
One of those, yes.
Yeah,
Gabriel knows the aquarium better than anyone else in the city.
I can text you the tickets electronically.
Okay.
If you, and she kind of turns to you, if you give me your cell phone number.
I think that I'm just like scratching my head aggressively, trying to hold it together. Yeah, sure. And I just like slide it across the table, like almost aggressively, like pushing it away from me. Like, just take it, end the torment.
And so she'll do that. Okay, well, I then I'll hopefully see you all tonight.
Where should we meet? What door at?
And she gives you the door, and
Okay.
she says, and be sure to dress up.
Oh, yes.
Gabriel, what do you say to Charlotte after that? After Victoria has left?
I think that I am just quivering with almost mortal terror with how just anxious I was during that entire conversation. Not because I'm necessarily even into her, but just because I have so little notion of how people interact with one another that it's just terrifying to me. So I think that I am just overcome with anxiety, and it plays into my scared condition.
And I do think she turns and she goes, "Do you have a suit?"
No, probably not.
Okay.
I mean, my school uniform doesn't count, right?
No, it does not.
No.
All right, hold on. And I will call Terrence.
Mhm.
And I go, "All right, big favor. Okay. I
Okay.
need you to lend your suit to someone who needs a suit for the evening. Doesn't have to be your best suit. Just okay."
All right. It might look a little like assistant professory.
Oh, that would be really charming.
Okay. We have different ideas of what charming means, but yeah, I can do that.
Do you have patches on the elbow?
It doesn't go that far.
Oh,
That's
well,
that's
Assistant
tenured
professor.
professor.
That's full professor, yeah.
Just dang. All right. We'll be over shortly, okay?
Okay. Sasha, what do you want to do?
I am not sure. I will admit to being a little lost. I had seen the thing about the enforcers and thought that was something that we could track down in the city. But if it's not, I don't really know what to do.
You could go into the labyrinth and try to find where the enforcers are.
So we can go into the castle without.
Just
Very
have to go
unclear
and
on
find.
that.
Just have to go and find the door there.
Is there
And there's not a roll for
or
that.
Are there many, or how does getting into the castle work?
So let's move forward a bit. Let's have you at that location at the
location?
the Wi-Fi place there
Okay.
in the thing. And basically you have to kind of look around, and you are connected to the other world. So where is the door, the passage that you can use to enter into this liminal space? You can tell that it hangs around the area, and this is what you've learned about the castle. While the person might move, the castle itself kind of stays here. So there's a door that will enter into it even if he's not here.
So what is this location? I don't really understand.
So
what
imagine
it
that
is.
we're in a really big sort of Japanese multi-level style subway station, and we're up on like one of the upper levels with lots of shops and things like this. And this is a big, very large internet cafe with lots of monitors and things like that, with sort of free public Wi-Fi for a certain amount of time, and then you can pay for additional time, and it's very nicely set up. There are probably offices attached to it. There are, restrooms nearby, kiosks, that kind of thing.
Maybe like an out of order restroom.
Okay. So you will kind of walk down one of these halls, and it has that sort of weird feeling, like the lights are a little bit dimmer. There's a sort of a crackle of electricity here, and I think you'll come back to one of these bathroom doors, and it has a do not use out of order sign on it that it looks like it's been up there for months. And you can tell as you kind of touch the door that this is the way in.
Yeah, how do I what?
So you could go by yourself into the castle to look around. Or we can establish that you've just arrived here, and then this is what you've done is established and connect to this door. So one of the things about it is there's two moves that would do. Mechanically, we trigger the dive into darkness move to move into the castle. And then the travel the labyrinth move. And what the travel the labyrinth move allows you to do is you will always reach a place that reveals a hidden truth about the vassal.
Is that something that I need to be bringing other people with?
You can. If things go badly, you might have to fight something. Or you can wait and take everybody in, like in the afternoon.
I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm just trying to accomplish something. I don't know what that is, though.
Okay. Let's see. How do you re-intensify your crew covenant?
Hanging
Hanging out with the crew
Yeah,
Okay.
person.
you have to check in with another member of the crew.
Okay.
I tried that last time and it all caught on fire.
That did catch on fire when you checked against fealty. So do you want me to hold off on you and come back and check in?
I don't know that I'm going to get a further idea, but
Sure,
yeah,
absolutely. Well, let me go ahead and do Pam, and then we may actually be at a spot where we may want to stop before we kind of like move into the afternoon threshold. Does that seem reasonable?
Mhm.
You cool with that? Okay.
Yeah,
Pam, what do you?
I was
wanna do?
thinking of checking in with Charlotte.
Okay.
In the midst of our investigations.
Okay.
So, since I was helping with that, I am of course taking my life in my own hands by trying to check in with a 4 fealty.
Okay.
So, and to some extent, taking your life in my own hands.
Oh, no.
So, because it sucks for everybody, but it is what it is. The dice can I hear roll above a 4.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing it yet, but I believe there are sides on these electronic dice above a 4.
So we know what the Wheel of Fortune hangout move is. What is the hangout move when you meet with Charlotte, and then we'll kind of frame up the scene.
Okay, so the hangout move that I have is you can ask one of a handful of questions, and I will do my best to answer, and my answer will be more right than wrong.
Okay.
And they're usually about the mystery, but it doesn't have to be. It's just the true nature of things.
So Charlotte, Pam, where would you meet up? Would you meet up at the hangout, or would you meet up somewhere else?
I think we'll probably end up like I will drop. Essentially, I will probably end up getting Terrence's suit and then taking it to a tailor to have it like, essentially tailored enough with the stitching that like you could pull out very
Yeah.
easily. It's a standard thing that you do. It's a refit.
Yeah.
And so just take him in so that he has a suit. So while I'm waiting for that, I will meet you at the Bright Eyes that's trying to organize the union.
Okay, sounds good.
We will
Right.
tip egregiously.
Oh yes, we will.
So Pam, like what is the framework for your meeting up before we kind of go to the hangout moves?
So the framework is that we've both been digging into things, and so I think this was that's what we spent like a chunk of the morning doing, and this is me coming back to show you some of the things I got from newspapers and everything, and just go over it, and then we kind of come to our conclusions, and now we sort of sit back and sort of and maybe admire our handiwork, as it were. And just go, okay, it's break time. But yes.
I like
I
that.
imagine we have a bunch of like copied newspaper clippings on the table and everything. And yeah, but it's like we're ignoring them right now.
So Pam, why don't you roll me a d6? Again, evens or heads, odds or tails. You're muted.
Odds, so tails.
Okay. So what is the issue? What is the thing that you're like maybe opening up or worried about or talking to Charlotte about?
So oh, I'm so sorry. It is probably trying to figure out how to help out, try to help out Amira. They're out of a job and kind of at loose ends, and possibly a further target of the doxer. So I am concerned. I'm concerned for them.
And your course seems to be much more of a kind of a direct, let's confront, kind of in your face approach, would you say?
I will I alternate between being sneaky and being confrontational. It keeps them off balance, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So Charlotte, how would that course that Pam is on lead to disaster?
I think she sort of stops and says, sometimes you have to be careful not to draw attention to things. Right now, you're definitely a bull in the China shop. So, Amira is sort of involved in this whole union thing, right?
Mhm.
I bet that she would be the best person to contact white hats, what you were talking about, the people that keep an eye on. We know the group, and I'm sure that the hangers on are weaker and easier to, how do you say, get a hold on for the white hats to track what things are doing. And they could probably kick up some decent resistance, at least enough to slow things down for this organization, and maybe give your friend a chance to, I don't know, establish yourself with the, I don't know, places that are trying to bring unions around more as a leader.
So you're saying that my trying to distract from her is going to make things worse?
Yes.
Okay. So I have to stop doing that.
And then the reciprocal thing for you, Charlotte, is when you spend time with the Sun, at any point in the conversation, you can ask them one of the questions from the crew covenant that Pam has. The Sun is going to answer and be more right than wrong. And the three questions are: who's behind blank? What's the connection between blank and blank? And who's keeping blank a mystery?
So I think I go, what is the real connection between Russ and his sort of incredible hatred of workers? And is that his family's way? She's sort of trying to figure out why he's fixated on that.
Why do you think that is, Pam?
I think that because he was mostly raised by probably the servants in the house, especially if your hypothesis is correct, and his sister mother is actually well, she wasn't there a lot of the time, so he basically was on his own, being raised by nannies, being raised maybe by the rest of the help, and he seems like the kind of kid who probably resented that and resented the people who were taking care of him. Even if, no matter how kind they were, no matter how, he felt like he was being pushed, he was being made one of them. And so he had nothing but contempt for them because he felt he was so close to being treated as just another servant in the house.
Nice.
So that's why he's not just going after workers, but going after service workers.
Let's have you roll that check-in roll. Going to roll with fealty, I believe, right? You are muted.
Force of habit. Okay, 2 and 2. So
2 and 2.
Abject failure.
Okay.
As
So what goes wrong? Like what happens here that kind of shakes you up or fades your crew covenant?
So I was trying to do this just to not have my crew covenant be faded.
Well, let me make a suggestion here.
Yes.
And you can mark a condition. That's the easy one. And
Sure.
I think even as you guys are kind of finishing up, you will hear the manager come out and call a couple people, and you hear this. Did you post this? Did you post this? Blah, 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 blah. I've got information, blah, 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 blah. This is against company policy, da, 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 and you two are fired.
Oh, wow.
And like you look over and you realize like you haven't been quick enough. And this guy's already picking off the most vulnerable.
Right.
What do you want to mark? And it can be you or it can be Charlotte.
I mean, I'm willing to take something. I'm just trying to figure out what to take. Or did you mark something? Charlotte, yeah, okay. Sherry, you're muted.
Sorry, I was just trying to see what they do, and they kind of don't tell you.
Hey,
Or
you have to have mouse
mine
on
wasn't
it.
on
Yeah.
one of the ones. It wasn't telling me until I
Okay.
clicked
Oh.
on it. So
Yeah. Okay. I mean, emotionally, the right thing for me to take is overwhelmed. Which I think I could take.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I'll take overwhelmed. It's just, it feels like too many moving pieces. This guy's outmaneuvering us again. So, yeah, overwhelmed seems about right. I'll take that. I'm the one who initiated the move with a 4 in my fealty, so I'll take that.
Okay. Let's pause here. I think this is the time to go through the end of session here, where we check in to clear things. What we know next time is we know that we have the door and access if the group wants to go in and do that as the afternoon move. We've got kind of the evening thing of potentially meeting his sister. And we know that he is aware of a couple of you and it may be moving on that. So let's start with Pam. Pam, what made the biggest impact on you? And this is
Just him not giving me anything when I oh crap. Oh yeah, him not giving me anything when I tried to rile him up or try to get him distracted.
uh, so do you think that's focusing on your life? Is that the thing? How we want to?
I mean, I feel like it's probably more like I'm focusing on your own battle in the castle. I don't know if that's appropriate there or not.
You could do that. Yeah, if you want to mark void.
Yeah, that seems about right.
Okay. Like you're
Um,
very intent on that sort of direct confrontation and kind of moving.
yeah. No, that's the closest one that feels like. if
Okay.
that makes
Well,
sense.
then let's do that. And you can
Right.
shift a point between your stats.
Yeah. And actually that means I have, that's my 5th mark of void because I forgot to mark for the failure I just did.
Okay.
So, all
So
right.
you will increase your void a level and you will get a void advance.
Okay.
Charlotte, what about you?
Where are the list of these things, these choices?
It is on the Universal City Moves,
Okay.
H61.
Yes. H61, thank you for that. So wrap up, end of session. Okay, got it. Let's see, made a difference to someone, Mark Rosef. Let's see here. Focused on your own battle, focused on your mundane life. Let's see here. How about I made a difference to someone?
Okay.
And essentially, the weird thing is I think that it was with the maps and stuff, and when I said the farms and things, it was Gabriel's like eyes got really wide, and they sort of realized there were a whole bunch of things they hadn't thought about the world, and that kind of made her feel good that she actually like that what she came up with was something that affected him. So
then you can unfade your crew covenant.
okay.
That seems like the way to read that.
Yeah, I think that's what it's doing.
Yeah. That's the way I'm going to read it.
Okay.
Patrick, what do you want?
I'm not sure. I didn't actually do much. I don't see how any of these apply.
Okay. Do you want to chew on it?
Sure.
Okay. Fair enough. Gabriel, what about for you?
I'm thinking it's gonna be the crew helped you, say whichever went the extra mile, and you both heal a condition.
Okay.
Yeah, that award's gonna go to Charlotte for being my wingman with Victoria
Okay.
earlier. I never would have made it out of there alive without you.
So you will both clear a condition. So I would like to go to Stars and Wishes, if you don't mind doing a quick round of that. Particularly, well, what time is it?